Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mike. You guys are rocking with me on Mike's Intellectual Corner. On today's episode, we're going to be diving into the night Osama Bin Laden was killed. Without further ado, we're just going to go right into it. Let's go ahead and go.
We had a division rivalry between the Mets and the Phillies. The ballpark was full. It was a really lively atmosphere, but you know, at the time I just thought I was sitting down to do a regular baseball game.
We didn't know what was going on. We just knew something special happened. And I don't know how to describe that when you don't know what's going on, but you know it's special.
I remember that it just came out of the blue. I remember, like, whenever I heard about it, it was just, like, really random. You know what I'm saying?
Know what's going on, but you know it's special.
The afternoon was spent on pins and needles.
And May 1st, I probably wasn't even thinking about it because that's like 17 days before my graduation. So I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about a whole gang of other stuff. So
on pins and needles. I wasn't watching sports that night.
Another packed house here at Citizens Bank Park and an awfully nice night for a ball game here in Philadelphia. The New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies, Sunday night baseball. You know, it's always a rivalry when a New York team and a Philadelphia team get together.
I think for the most part we respected one another, but I think certainly we didn't like each other.
When I was wearing red and white pinstripes, I couldn't stand orange, black, and blue. I just couldn't.
The Mets-Phillies rivalry, it's based on proximity. There's a little bit of a big brother, little brother issue going on, I think.
It's always extra special, obviously. That rivalry was always electric atmosphere.
Even in our production meeting prior to, I remember someone making the point that this is the only show in town. And by that, I mean really the only major sporting event going on across the country. And that's not often the case.
yeah, because I don't remember this. Well, I mean, I remember it, but I don't remember watching this game because obviously I'm not a Philly or a Mets fan, so I probably wasn't even paying attention to this game at all. And I'm pretty sure how I found out was on social media or through a friend or something like that.
Across the country, and that's not often the case.
An 0-2 count on the lead. On the swing and a foul tip held by Paulino. Lee strikes out. One down.
Watching the game, we have monitors here, watching Twitter on the laptop, and the White House reporters that I follow, they started talking back and forth about the president has called a news conference.
Yeah, because see, I remember watching the presidential address to the nation, because obviously it cuts through everything, all the freaking channels and stuff, but I remember watching that at least.
Called a news conference.
Our news editor, Claire Smith, passed a note along at some point to me, POTUS news conference tonight. To me, honestly, you know, I'm locked in on what's going on in the field. I'm not even factoring in what this could mean.
And Young strikes him out as the Phillies leave the bases loaded here in the 7th inning.
It was a one-run ball game. The tying run was on base, and Ryan Howard's coming up. But all of a sudden, you become aware of something else.
I looked down at my phone, and I got a text from a buddy who always watched games, and he said, they got Bin Laden.
Bobby nudged me with his elbow and showed me his phone. You know, this isn't in the play-by-play handbook. They don't tell you how to deal with this one.
There were rumors that Osama Bin Laden had been, the United States had got him, and that they'd killed him.
Tom Archer, our producer, right away said, we're trying to corroborate it. Don't say anything yet. We're preparing a statement. So you try to put it out of your mind for a second, and you keep calling the game.
They've only got 2 hits.
Definitely helps that the entire stadium was packed that night, too, because, I mean, I don't know how live, Mets and Philly games usually are, but obviously it helps for the atmosphere of such a historical night and stuff like that. So
they've only got 2 hits in this game. They've got 3 hits in this game. Mayberry getting the wave. The throw from Bay, not in time, and the Phillies have tied it.
When we understood what was happening and that this was less a rumor and more fact, we said we're going to bring the announcers on camera at the end of the 8th inning.
Ground ball to second, inning over. Some breaking news for those of you who have been with us on the ball game. ABC News is reporting that Osama Bin Laden has been killed, and a presidential news conference is up.
I like how casual he said it. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously there's only so much you could do, but it's just kind of funny because he said it kind of like super casually at the same time.
That Osama Bin Laden has been killed, and a presidential news conference is upcoming momentarily.
I think thereafter, we had our eyes open for when that bit of news was going to find its way into the 40,000 plus people who were at Citizens Bank Park.
At the very beginning of the 9th inning, my now wife, fiance at the time, just happened to be on her phone, I guess. It wasn't the most entertaining game for her.
On CNN, an article popped up about, it's not confirmed yet, but it looks like Bin Laden has been killed. And then, I turned to my fiance and said, hey, look at this. This is something.
My friend next to me, she suddenly lets out a, oh my God, we killed Bin Laden. After that, everything changed.
And I bet you that was such a surreal moment, too, to find out. And, like, if you're in this huge crowd, to just find out right there and see everybody else finding out around you, you know what I'm saying? And that's why everybody's chanting USA and stuff. You're like, that's so cool.
Everything changed.
Got a chant of USA as the news goes through the crowd.
There were 2 events going on at once. One was a baseball game, and one is a hugely significant world event, which people, one by one, are finding out about around the ballpark.
Once the word started to leak out, we were told to find people sharing cell phone information with people beside them, find people that were excited, jumping up and down. That night, it was pretty easy to find good shots.
That's when I decided to pull out my phone. It just kind of struck me as this is like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of moment.
USA! 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 USA!
There's no place in the world right now where there are more Americans gathered than in that ballpark, and they were all experiencing this rush of emotion.
And the perfect night for it to happen, too, because obviously that was the only game happening the entire, you know what I'm saying, on the entire freaking country, which is, like they said before, super rare, because at least, well, I mean, it's in the springtime, most likely, so, I mean, there's at least something else going on, but obviously not this time.
All experiencing this rush of emotion simultaneously and spontaneously. The players, of course, had no idea what was going on.
Very rarely do you hear USA chants break out, out of nowhere. So it's kind of just a bit of a state of confusion, then you get locked in for your at-bat.
And I'm thinking, what national team's playing and who are they playing and who they beat?
Was there a soccer game going on? I thought maybe there was a hockey game going on. I was confused, and it kind of took me off of what I was doing.
Just missed outside of the knees. And a base runner for the Mets here in the 9th inning at a 1-1 tie. Wright is running and steals it. Let's go down to field level with Wendy Nix. Wendy?
Well, Dan, you're exactly right. As word begins to filter through the ballpark about Osama Bin Laden.
And I think it's even cooler, too, whenever the players eventually find out, obviously, because they've been so ignorant, of the fact for so long, and in their own kind of like own little world. It's so cool to think of that, but yeah.
Well, Dan, you're exactly right. As word begins to filter through the ballpark about Osama Bin Laden, the players, at least in the Phillies dugout, are clearly unaware. They don't have the same devices that we have. I was directly adjacent to the Phillies dugout. They're looking at me, and they're looking at each other, and they're looking at their manager. And the obvious question, do you know what's going on?
And here comes the USA chant again.
We didn't know what was going on. We just knew something special happened. And you're in the out, but you're in the in. You're a part of it, but part of what?
Jason Bay is going to be the batter.
I got no idea what's going on. And I'm Canadian, and I'm thinking, I've been called a lot of things, especially in Philly, but the USA thing, they're trying to get under my skin.
2 on, 2 out. Bay the batter. Tied at 1 in the 9th inning. In the air to center field. Hitting over.
Everybody's coming into the dugout, and we're all kind of looking at each other, and obviously the chants are still going, and we're sitting there going, okay, what's happened here? And the trainer kind of breaks the news to all of us.
That's kind of how it spreads, is by that word of mouth. Obviously, no question, the baseball game becomes secondary to, the news and the president, addressing the country, a few minutes after that.
The White House has just announced that the president will address the nation.
I just remember thinking too, whoever was the person who actually pulled the trigger and stuff, I would not want to. I would be just fine, just comfortable living the rest of my life in solitude, just, you know what I'm saying? Just not having written a book and all the other stuff. I don't know, that's just me though, but, yeah.
Address the nation about 1 minute from now.
Good evening. Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children.
What we remembered right away was the chants that we started hearing outside the White House. And, my working assumption is that if people had gathered that quickly outside of the White House, chanting USA, USA, that across the country, the same thing was taking place.
Too bad something like that can't happen nowadays, you know what I'm saying? With all the crap that's happening here in our country today.
USA! 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 USA!
And that's a strike away from victory. Got him. The breaking ball to get him Mayberry, and finally the New York Mets hang on to beat the Phillies 2-1 tonight.
Here we are, a team from New York, a team from Philadelphia, rivals, playing one another, trying to knock each other's teeth out, but the game isn't that significant anymore.
It's weird, just being able to high-five and hug Phillies fans and have that common ground.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing that could have made it even any more perfect was if it would have happened in New York, where obviously where 9/11 and all that stuff happened and took place, and they really could have probably gotten down that entire night. They probably would have got down.
Ground. Fans you're supposed to be enemies with. All of a sudden, it became a moment of celebration, a moment of pride.
For one night, it wasn't Philadelphia, New York. It was the United States of America coming together. That's something special.
All right, guys. Yep, we'll go ahead and stop it right there. So yeah, Again, I vaguely remember this. Like I said before, I was already, I think, 18 years old. I was like 17 days away from my graduation, so I was already a senior in high school, and I was thinking about way other stuff like that. But still, it was a pretty good memory, and obviously it's very cool, especially thinking back and joining the military and 7 years later and all that stuff is very cool thinking back on all this stuff like that. But again, guys, thank you again for joining me on another episode of Mike's Intellectual Corner. I'll see you guys on another one. I'm out. Peace.